If you've been staring at used SUV listings under $25,000 and wondering why everything decent is either overpriced or suspiciously cheap, you're not imagining it. The market split in two. On one side, $45,000 crossovers drowning in software updates and subscription features. On the other, a handful of older SUVs quietly racking up 200,000 miles while nobody pays attention. Right now, the average new SUV transaction price is hovering around $48,000. The average loan term is pushing 72 months. That's 6 years of payments on vehicles packed with turbochargers, CVTs, and touchscreens that age faster than smartphones. Meanwhile, there are specific all-wheel drive SUVs sitting on used lots for under $23,000 that mechanics consistently rank as low-risk long-term ownership. And here's the part most buyers miss. The best values aren't always the cheapest. They're the ones built during that narrow window where manufacturers had already refined their engines but hadn't yet overcomplicated everything with experimental tech. Today, I'm counting down 5 cheap SUVs most people scroll past, even though they're capable of 250,000 to 300,000 miles with routine maintenance. We're going from solid value to absolute steal. And by the time we hit number 1, it's going to frustrate a lot of brand loyalists. Because it's not the name people expect. If you care about long-term ownership math, hit subscribe and drop a comment with how many miles are on your current SUV, because the numbers tell the real story. Let's start at number 5. Number 5. Honda Passport 2019-2021. This is one of the strangest market disconnects right now. The Passport is essentially a shortened Honda Pilot. Same platform. Same 0.5-liter J35 V6. Same 280 horsepower output. Same intelligent variable torque management all-wheel drive system. But because it doesn't have a third row, buyers overlook it, and that's exactly why the pricing makes sense. The 2019 and 2021 Passport runs Honda's J35 Y6 3.5L V6, a naturally aspirated direct-injected engine that's been in some form or another since the early 2000s. No turbochargers, no hybrid complexity, just a high-revving VTEC motor paired to the ZF-sourced 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Early versions of that ZF 9-speed had rough shift complaints in other Honda products, but by 2019, Honda had already revised the calibration and software mapping significantly. Owner-reported failure rates are dramatically lower compared to the 2016 Pilot launch years. Fluid changes every 30,000–40,000 miles keep it healthy long-term. A 2020 Passport Sport with under 60,000 miles can be found in the 21,000–24,000 range. Original MSRP, around $33,000–36,000. That's nearly 35% depreciation in just a few years. Not because it's unreliable, but because it doesn't have the marketing hype of a RAV4 or CR-V. The chassis uses a fully independent suspension setup with a multi-link rear, giving it better ride quality than many body-on-frame SUVs in the same price range. Towing capacity? 5,000 pounds when properly equipped. That's real-world utility most compact crossovers can't match. And here's something buyers don't calculate. The Passport runs a timing belt-driven cam system, which means you plan for a belt service around 90,000 to 105,000 miles. Yes, that's a $900 to $200 job. But after that, these engines routinely pass 250,000 miles with nothing more than oil changes and coolant service. It's predictable ownership. And predictability is rare in today's SUV market. The reason it gets ignored is simple. It doesn't look flashy. It doesn't scream luxury. It doesn't scream new. But mechanically, it's in that sweet spot between modern safety tech and old-school durability. And the further we move up this list, the more you'll notice a pattern forming. Because the next SUV proves you don't need a Toyota badge to get Toyota-level longevity, and the pricing gap might surprise you. Number 4. Lexus RX 350 2016-2022. This is where the list stops being cheap SUV advice and starts upsetting people who overpaid for German badges. The 4th-gen RX 350 is one of the safest long-term luxury buys in the used market, and the depreciation math is brutal. Original MSRP, $42,000 to over $50,000. Clean 2017-2018 models today with around 70,000 miles. roughly $22,000, 26,000 sales. That's close to 50% depreciation on a vehicle that regularly clears 250,000, 300,000 miles. Under the hood sits the 2GR FKS 3.5-liter V6, naturally aspirated, using Toyota's D4S dual injection system. That means both direct and port injection, dramatically reducing carbon buildup risk compared to pure direct injection engines. 295 horsepower, 8-speed automatic, no turbochargers, no hybrid battery complexity in the standard RX 350. Lexus RX models consistently rank near the top in long-term reliability studies. Maintenance costs? Around 30% lower over 5 years compared to a BMW X5 or Mercedes GLE. It rides on Toyota's K-platform architecture, shared DNA with high-volume Toyota models. Parts are easy to source. Independent shops know this drivetrain well. No air suspension, no twin-turbo setups, no adaptive dampers waiting to fail. Just conventional suspension and conservative engineering, and the next SUV costs even less. But the value gap gets even more uncomfortable. Number 3. Mitsubishi Outlander GT V6 models. This is what market ignorance looks like. Most buyers see the Mitsubishi badge and scroll past it. Sales dipped, brand perception dropped, and that's exactly why this becomes a value play. We're talking about the 3.0-liter V6 Outlander GT paired with the 6-speed automatic, not the 2.4-liter 4-cylinder. Avoid that one. Documented oil consumption issues in certain years. The V6 is different. The 3.0L 6B31 is naturally aspirated, timing chain driven, producing around 224 horsepower. No turbo, no CVT, just a conventional torque converter automatic and a simple AWD system. 2017-2020 V6 models, typically $14,000, 18,000 miles with under 80,000 miles. Original MSRP, around $30,000. That's roughly 40 to 50% depreciation, driven by branding, not mechanical failure. Number 2. Toyota Venza, 2009-2015. Now we're entering dangerous territory, because when you put a Toyota badge this close to number 1, expectations go up immediately, and the first-generation Venza quietly delivers. Here's the setup most people forget. The Venza wasn't marketed properly. It wasn't clearly an SUV. It wasn't clearly a wagon. It wasn't quite a crossover in the traditional sense. Sales were slow. Toyota pulled the plug after 2015. But mechanically, it was built on Toyota's K-platform architecture, shared with the FV40 Camry and closely related to the Lexus RX platform of that era. That matters, because underneath the identity crisis sits proven Toyota hardware. Engine options. 2.7-liter 1AR FE inline-4, 3.5-liter 2GR FE V6. Let's focus on what actually makes it interesting. The 2GR FE V6 is one of the most durable V6 engines Toyota ever produced, naturally aspirated, timing chain-driven, dual VVTi, no turbochargers, no cylinder deactivation, no nonsense. Output, around 268 horsepower. Real-world longevity, 250,000 to 300,000 miles, with routine oil changes. Original MSRP for a well-equipped AW6 model, roughly $35,000 in early 2010s dollars. Current clean market value, $10,000 to $14,000, depending on mileage. That's depreciation already absorbed. You're stepping in after the biggest value drop has happened. And here's the overlooked angle. The Venza rides more like a Lexus than a compact SUV. Longer wheelbase than a RAV4 of the same era. Wider stance. More highway stability. It's quiet, comfortable, understated. But it never had the cool factor of a 4Runner or Highlander. So it faded into the background. And fading into the background is exactly what creates opportunity in the used market. Maintenance costs are predictable. Parts are widely available. Independent mechanics know the 2GR platform inside out. No CVT, no turbo, no experimental hybrid systems in this generation. Just conventional engineering that quietly runs forever. And because it was discontinued for years before Toyota revived the nameplate as a hybrid-only model later, many buyers don't even remember it existed. which is exactly why it sits undervalued. Toyota reliability, Lexus adjacent platform, used Camry money. And yet, it's still not number one, because the SUV at the top of this list is smaller, cheaper, and somehow even more misunderstood. Number 1. Mazda CX-3 2016-2022. This is where people argue in the comments, because nobody expects a subcompact SUV to sit at the top of a long-term value list. But the numbers don't lie. The CX-3 rides on Mazda's Skyactiv platform, sharing engineering DNA with the Mazda 2. Under the hood is the 2.0-liter Skyactiv G inline-4, producing roughly 146 horsepower, paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission. Not a CVT, a real torque converter automatic. That alone separates it from half the subcompact segment. Now let's talk engineering philosophy. Mazda's Skyactiv engines were designed around high compression ratios, around 13,001 in many applications, optimized for efficiency without forced induction. No turbochargers in the standard CX-3, no dual-clutch transmission complexity, no experimental drivetrain systems, just lightweight construction and conservative mechanical design. EPA fuel economy? Up to 34 Belgian highway. Owner-reported longevity? 200,000 plus miles with routine maintenance. Original MSRP when new, roughly $20,000 to $23,000. Current clean use pricing, $11,000 to $16,000, depending on year and mileage. And because buyers prioritize space over durability, the CX-3 gets dismissed immediately. Yes, rear legroom is tight. Yes, cargo capacity is limited. But mechanically, it's simple. It's efficient. It's low stress, which makes it the most debated and arguably smartest buy on this list. It won't impress your neighbors, it won't dominate Instagram, but it will start every morning, sip fuel, and quietly clear miles while bigger, flashier SUVs age faster. And that's the whole point. Cheap doesn't mean compromised. Sometimes it just means overlooked.